to talk about this right here on Live Now from Fox. Bring in our next guest this hour, and this is LA-based attorney James DeSimone. We appreciate it here on Live Now from Fox.
But thank you very much for having me on today.
Yeah, no problem. We're glad that you could come on and we could walk through this together here. So tell us a little bit more about this deadline that is fast approaching for Donald Trump.
And it is fast approaching because it was only on February 6th that the Court of Appeals ruled that Trump is not immune from criminal prosecution, allowing this prosecution to go forward on 4 criminal charges. But the court gave Trump an out. And they said, look, you have until February 12th, which of course is today, to file an emergency appeal, an emergency stay with the United States Supreme Court. And then they will have to act on it very promptly. If he doesn't get it in today, it's going to be back on the trial calendar. And he's likely to be facing a trial on these charges in March of 2024.
All right. And explain this to our viewers. So the deadline is today. His legal team and he himself has known this. Why wait until really the last moment in something like this?
We're going to have to make a pretty compelling case because when you read that District Court of Appeal opinion, which of course is authored by 3 judges and is a per curiam decision, which means they all worked on it, it is a very well-written, airtight decision. It takes every one of Trump's arguments in terms of why he should not be prosecuted and why he should be given immunity. And that opinion just dismantles all of his argument. So they can't just go to the Supreme Court and say, hey, Supreme Court, we appointed you, give us a stay. They've got to show good legal reason why a stay might be, why he may end up prevailing on this, such that a stay is justified. So I'd imagine the lawyers are in there working in order to make their case, and we'll get something in before the end of today.
And that deadline, I presume, is it a 5 p.m. deadline Eastern?
I don't believe so. I think it's midnight. You know, with the change of technology, it affects my office. We're litigators. I've got a case pending before the U.S. Supreme Court right now. You get until midnight now. You don't have to have that messenger be rushing papers down to the courtroom. It's a new legal landscape for us attorneys as we practice.
Okay, that is good to know. And as we look forward here, of course, election is in November, and there's a lot of hurdles in court cases ahead of Donald Trump, and he has to find a way to not only maneuver through those, but also campaign at the same time. And for his defense, the best options for him correct, are to delay as much as possible, correct?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if the Supreme Court grants a stay and then there's briefing, he has then 90 days. They may give him a truncated briefing schedule so that his appeal is due sooner than that. But yes, I mean, in terms of the timing, it would be likely that the U.S. Supreme Court would decide this after the November election if this appeal is allowed to continue. So sure, it is in his best interest to delay because let's face it, if he is elected president, then he should have the power, because it's a federal prosecution, to pardon himself, which would totally, eviscerate any chance to have a jury decide whether or not he violated the law when he was president.
Do you see any of his court cases coming to a conclusion before the election?
Well, if the United States Supreme Court says, look, there is no immunity in the Constitution, this is an issue of law, and the Court of Appeal in the District Court in Washington got it right, we're not going to stay this. Yes, on the other hand, last week we saw in their questions that it's unlikely that they're going to keep him off the ballot in Colorado. But this is a law and order president. This is a Supreme Court that is supposed to restore law and order to the United States of America. So why shouldn't a criminal prosecution go forward in a timely fashion? And so the way the legal landscape is facing right now, if the United States Supreme Court doesn't act to save Donald Trump here, this case should go forward in March. And that will be the one that's really going to be front and center before our November election.
Yeah, it really will be. And I'm glad that you were able to come on and really break it down for all of us, as this deadline is today at midnight. And we appreciate it here on Live Now from Fox. And we'll talk soon.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Have
No
a good
problem.
day.